Philadelphia's offseason training activities taught us a lot about who looks good, who's struggling, and who's about to break out, creating some very interesting storylines heading into camp. Like why Moro Ojomo is the breakout candidate of 2025, just how much pressure is on DeJean heading into year 2. We all know the Eagles are loaded, but they aren't immune from some important question marks. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Every year when the calendar hits late July and the Birds return to training camp, there are really two big picture items on everybody's list. Number one, how do the stars look? How's Jalen Hurts' progress? Saquon Barkley poised for a repeat in 2024? Are Nick, Kevin, and the offense in sync? Will Jalen Carter continue to break out? And so on and so forth. But you get my point. Number one, star-focused. Number two is the dark horses, the breakout candidates, who's playing above their expected level and pushing to earn even more meaningful reps on Sundays. And while naturally there are plenty of other storylines than Category 1 and Category 2 I just explained, but when you go 50,000 feet above and look at training camp as a whole, how are the stars doing? Who's going to go ahead and break out? And say, just to drive this point home, let's rewind 12 months from where we're at right now. Remember, there were a ton of question marks surrounding the 2024 squad heading into camp, who all basically eventually turned into stars. Nolan Smith went from a dud in year 1 to an absolute stud in year 2. Jokes Hunt was a former safety, taken too early in the draft from a no-name college and yet poured it on late in the year. Zack Baun was signed to be, at best, a special teamer on a cheap contract who eventually became an all-pro inside linebacker. Of course, Quinyon and DeJean, they were rookies, but eventually played like seasoned vets. All these players became either solid starters or legit stars, and all played a major role in the Eagles becoming Super Bowl champions. So, heading into training camp now, less than a month away, who do we look for that could potentially break out and become the stars of the 2025 squad? Well, let's go ahead and start with linebacker. Now, I thought about putting Nakobe Dean on this list because we kind of forget how elite he was in 2024. With his injury rehab timeline relatively unknown, how quickly he returns to his peak form does matter. But let's just assume Davis can't start the regular season. He might not be 100% till, October, November, or December. The three linebackers competing for his job become super make-or-break candidates for the Birds. And as it stands, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is, of course, the starter. He will be day 1 of training camp, but with Jihad Campbell likely to practice at least early August, plus the emergence of Smile Monday and OTAs, it's a young but talented group with plenty of options. But for as great as Zack Baun was, he was allowed to thrive in Fangio's defense because he had a great running mate in Dean. And the two of them wreaked havoc in both the run defense and, of course, against the pass, completely shutting down the middle of the field. So until Nakobe Dean comes back, whoever wins the starting job at linebacker next to Zack Baun is going to have massive shoes to fill, because you don't want to have a situation where Vic Fangio's defense has a hole that teams want to attack. If they look at the linebacker spot and go, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Jihad Campbell, Jamal Munden, they're the weakness, they're going to attack that with everything they have and expose what is still a very strong defense. I like all three of these guys. I do think Trotter Jr. has at least the lead because he's healthy and was in the system last year, but whoever wins, again, massive make or break candidate. They have a chance to become a superstar or a chance to drag the entire defense down. Next, let's switch over to the offense, and really the legit only hole on the entire offense right now is right guard, which, much like the linebacker group we just mentioned prior, the offense had no holes last season thanks to newcomer Mekhi Becton filling in the lone hole that we all worried about heading into training camp. Becton really wasn't just serviceable, he wasn't even just good, he was great, so great the Chargers dropped a massive bag to lure him away from Jeff Stoutland. Now, of course, this year, new hole at guard means all eyes shift to Tyler Steen. Right now, the clear favorite to win the job unless something unthinkable happens during camp, and someone Philadelphia's been brewing for this moment ever since drafting him in round 3 out of Alabama. If Steen were to actually struggle, this not only creates a weakness that defensive coordinators can target on the right side of the Philadelphia offensive line, but opens up an ever-evolving door on Philadelphia's offense. Stoutland would undoubtedly have to rotate anyone and everyone into that spot to try and plug the hole, potentially upsetting run game blocking ability and limiting Saquon Barkley's holes and putting even more free rushers in close proximity to the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. But if Steen ends up shining, this offense we know and love continues to hum to the same beat as last year, hitting big plays on the ground virtually on a weekly basis and picking their spots to burn people deep with great protection up front to AJ and Devontae Smith. Steen likewise becomes the next great guard and almost guarantees a massive contract extension, which could come this coming offseason because how he likes to do things early. Tyler Steen, massive make or break candidate. He has got to step up this year. Now, moving on to another make or break candidate, I think the hot breakout candidate ticket, at least on the entire Birds right now, has to be third-year defensive tackle Moro Ojomo, which, when you think about it, it's honestly hilarious that in the exact same draft as Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, how he found a 7th-round DT from Texas that might be not only the breakout candidate of the Eagles this year, but the breakout defensive player of the entire 2025 season. I mean, Ojomo literally went from an absolute nobody heading into his rookie year, fighting for his roster life, to one of the most impressive backups on the team this previous season. If you don't believe me, watch this breakdown from Nico on Twitter showing you exactly why the hype is so real surrounding Ojomo coming this season.
The most obvious breakout candidate in the entire NFL for 2025 is Eagles defensive tackle Moro Ojomo. You might as well learn the name right now because I'm telling you he is going to be Philadelphia's brand new Milton Williams. It's a lock. Every fan base is going to be begging for their GM to pay him down the road. You want to know a little secret? This guy is already one of the NFL's most dangerous pass rushing defensive tackles and just hasn't had the chance to prove it yet. Last year, he was third on the depth chart in Philly, behind Jalen Carter and Milton Williams, obviously. But he got a good amount of third down snaps, and when he was on the field, he had the third highest pass rush win rate at the defensive tackle position in the entire NFL, 18%. He's a pressure machine. Jalen Carter commands a lot of double teams, which means that if you're playing alongside him, you're going to get some one-on-one opportunities to tee off on the quarterback. I'll tell you that. He didn't have any sacks last season, but there were plenty of times where he got real close. And with more snaps, the sacks are going to come, and that's when he's going to become a much bigger name. But this isn't just an undersized defensive tackle that has the finesse to win as a pass rusher. He has shown real flashes against the run, and there's no reason why he can't be a 3-down guy for Philly. I know this isn't the most practical rep, but watch him throw a really good guard in Sam Cosmi right to the ground in run defense. He's got serious power. This is a freak athlete. Everyone freaked out in the 2023 draft when the Eagles got Jalen Carter at pick 9, but Howie Roseman was thinking a step further because he got Moro Ojomo in the 7th round, and he's just a few months away from cementing himself as a star defensive tackle. The trench step never ends. Don't be surprised when Howie does it again.
And to me, the best part about Ojomo is that Philadelphia made sure to keep him motivated this offseason because they didn't just sit back and go, you know what, he's going to take over Milton Williams' spot. He's going to be the guy. They said, we hope he's going to be the guy. We're going to make sure he has competition to push him even further. Like, sure, Milton Williams is gone. Again, keys to the castle are yours, kid. Oh, wait, here comes the guy people are calling the vanilla gorilla to take your starting reps. Like, the word out of OTAs is that Ty Robinson, at least the hype so far, is real. And Vic Fangio, as we know, would have zero issue playing him more if Ojomo didn't pan out. So unlike the linebackers behind Dean and, of course, Tyler Steen, Philadelphia has other options if Ojomo fails to become a star. He won't break the team in terms of a make-or-break candidate, but, and this is a big but a lot of people are confident here, if Ojomo can dominate, he will absolutely become one of the stars of the Philadelphia Eagles in a way I think the rest of the league is just not ready for. When you actually think about the defense as a whole, it's kind of crazy just how far, not just Moro Ojomo has come, but Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, the secondary. It is so incredible how well Philadelphia has A, drafted defensive players the last couple of years, but B, and we kind of forget about this, whether it's Fangio, Christian Parker, Clint Hurt, and enter your favorite coach, they've been able to develop these guys as well. And so massive credit to Philadelphia because next man up is a real mentality, and the Eagles have a lot of next man up to go ahead and hopefully break out in 2025. Now, of course, next we got to talk about the defensive backs, but I'm going to add a little bit of a twist here. So first off, Sidney Brown is obviously the make or break safety candidate. He's number one in that group. He should win the job. He's been there the longest. He's now healthy. He was drafted to be a starter. You guys get my point. But there's no real reason why Fangio has to commit to him. He's on a rookie deal. He hadn't played much and quite frankly could sit and no one would care. Especially if the more highly drafted rookie from this most recent draft, Drew Makuba, actually wins the job. So, of course, Sidney is on this list. Sure, he's a make or break candidate, but I want to mention someone else a little bit controversial here, and that is Cooper DeJean. Now, hold on a second. I'm not saying Cooper DeJean is going to be bad this year or that he's going to have a down 2025 season, but I will say this. The pressure around Cooper DeJean, I think, is more so than anyone else on our list, maybe even combined. I mean, DeJean went from a nobody due to his very quiet preseason and slow start to the regular season. We forget he didn't even really play until week 6, but then he exploded here and there with big plays the rest of the season that absolutely stood out and made him a household name. And the first time we really all fell in love with Cooper DeJean was his fourth quarter tackle of Jamar Chase, followed a few weeks later by the suplexing of Derrick Henry. Big plays against big stars that got us talking a big game about Cooper DeJean. But then, of course, the cherry on top was his playoff performances and obviously the superstar cementing pick 6 of Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And really, this shows the perfect blueprint for how to become not only a fan favorite in Philadelphia, but a league-wide superstar in just one season. And all of that is fantastic. I absolutely love Cooper DeJean, one of my favorite players in the Eagles right now. But you take all of that, and the fact he was a rookie and then now became a superstar, and the pressure heading into year 2 is really astronomical. I mean, really with the uncertainty at safety and obviously outside cornerback as well, DeJean will need to be elite to keep that unit on top. Last year, he had Slay and C.J. Gardner-Johnson behind and beside him to help out and fill the gaps. This year, all he has is his exciting white brother, Reed Blankenship, and year 2 Quinyon Mobe. The other 2 spots are going to be filled by new people on this defense. Let's just say DeJean were to have a sophomore slump. Secondary could slump as well, thereby making him a make or break candidate. But if he takes what worked in 2024 and gets, say, even 10% better, He's not only going to make the Eagles Super Bowl contenders once again, but he has a chance to become one of the faces of the entire NFL on the defensive side of the football. Someone like Troy Polamalu or Ed Reed or one of these names that everybody knows. DeJean is training in that direction, the pressure's on, and I think he can do it. Now, of course, these aren't the only make-or-break players or breakout candidates heading into 2025. There are plenty of other names, and give you guys some honorable mentions, starting, of course, with Jahan Dotson. By all reports, Dotson has had an incredible offseason, and, well, what happens if he, quote-unquote, becomes a breakout player in 2025? Like, kind of go back in theory, Dotson was traded to protect from an injury ahead of him, and B, run crazy routes against the opposing defense's fourth best cover guy. If he and Jalen were able to get on sync and the targets were to come, watch out, folks. I'm not sure how you're going to guard anybody on this offense. Next, of course, we got to mention Kelee Ringo. Is he ready? Can he win the job? Will he finally live up to his hype? Who knows? But Kelee Ringo has a lot of pressure, although I didn't put him on the list because to me, Cooper DeJean has a little bit more. Ringo can be serviceable this year, and we'd all love him. He just can't be bad, or else we're all going to hate him. And finally, I will add A.J. Dillon, only because I think Saquon gets a few less touches this year to keep him fresh, but A.J. Dillon and, heck, throw in Will Shipley have a serious responsibility to be ready whenever Saquon is out, especially if, heaven forbid, knock on wood, Saquon needed to miss a few games. Again, not necessarily on my list of the most make-or-break players, ton of pressure on these guys, but they need to be ready because if Philly were to lose Saquon or he has a couple of down games, they need to have someone to spell him, and A.J. Dillon, really Will Shipley, next man up. All in all, the point is that Philadelphia is absolutely loaded, and I don't have to tell you this, we know this, the league knows this, everybody knows this, but it's a year-to-year league, and for as many losses Philadelphia had in the offseason, the players ready to take their place have some serious opportunities. The big factor is if they hit. Massive if. Man, this team will struggle to lose more than 3 games overall because they're going to be so good. But if they miss, the Eagles obviously will still be a talented football team. They will still win games, but the road to the NFC playoffs will be much, much harder, especially with this schedule. Buyer beware. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on my list down below in the comments section. Make or break player, breakout candidates, give me that down below right now. Also, I had teased a possible Eagle player interview for this week. Timing got messed up there. They reached out to me and wanted to do one date. I was not available and tried another date. Didn't work out. There's plenty more stuff happening. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try and get it next week. We'll see, but player schedules are always tricky, so stick with me. We'll see. It's always difficult. I'm working for you guys. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out, though, on a Wednesday. Also, Wednesday Link Live, not tonight. I'm busy. We'll do it on Thursday, so tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.